it's all the things. In order for me to show up for her in that way, I have had to learn how to love myself differently. In loving myself differently, I can love so many parts of other people that I couldn't have even maybe perceived before. In loving them, I recognize my capacity to love, which changes how I see myself. It gives me more resource access to the love that I am already delivering. The experience that I had this week was so fucking profound because I was in a sales conversation with someone who had already decided to work with me. She has known for months she was going to do this work, but it has been really scary, and she has known that it was scary, and so she's taken her time to step into the container. And actually right then and there is an example. You know, over the course of the last 6 years of doing sales and building this multiple seven-figure business, I have explored, I think, pretty much the whole range of what it looks like to hold the container in a sales conversation. And when it's appropriate, when it's not even appropriate, because I don't mean it in a behavioral way, but when it's like correct, when it's useful for the person I'm talking to, for me to challenge them, and when it's useful for me to welcome them and accept them, and when I'm doing both at the same time. So this was a week where it was like, this call was a call where it was like, you know, I was so gentle and so persistent at the same time, because I know that we're meant to work together, and so does she. And so it was like, yeah, I'm not going to pretend. I can't pretend that that's not the reality of what we're doing. I know we're working together. How much time do you want to spend, you know?
Yeah.
Before you sign the contract, like what is it that you need? And it was, I swear to you, Rihanna, it was the most tender, most intimate experience I think I may have ever had in a sales conversation. And there was this moment when something fucking miraculous that I cannot explain happened, where my computer started making music like totally spontaneously that only I could hear. And it was like, wait, what's happening? And then as we went deeper, she was like, yeah, my guides talk to me through song. Excuse me? I mean, we were both weeping. This is a sales conversation,
I was just
y'all.
gonna say, in a sales call.
So it's like, it's all the things. In order for me to show up for her in that way, I have had to learn how to love myself differently. In loving myself differently, I can love so many parts of other people that I couldn't have even maybe perceived before. In loving them, I recognize my capacity to love, which changes how I see myself. It gives me more resource access to the love that I am already delivering. It's like,
you're describing like a fire that is feeding itself.
Yeah.
The more love, the more oxygen you're giving it, to just the more engulfed it is.
Yeah.
That's I'm thinking of the word entropy. Like that just sounds like the momentum I've ever heard of. You name so many things where I'm like, yes, skills. Like it's not
Truth.
just, I'm like, I'm here to love everybody, and like love is the answer. Like the things you named are hard skills. You said you were both gentle and persistent because you had a knowing that this was for her, that this was for you. Like that in and of itself requires so much clearing the mess out of the way to recognize that, to own that, to trust that. And then you're able to show up, and a sales call turns into this just like expansive love portal where guides start playing music.
That's right.
Okay, we kind of just like like I didn't even set this up with proper framework for people who are joining. We were just like wild example of the ethers. Whoa. Okay, this work changes how we love. What exactly is the work we're referring to? I mean, we can safely assume this work we're talking about transformational work, but can you give us more insight into the nature of work that changes how we love? Like, what does that range of work cover?
I will say that I actually, you know, this work, the work, this phrase is thrown around quite a bit. And I actually think that in any context that someone says this work or the work changes how we, I think it always is true. Like anytime someone's talking about that, I think they're pointing to spiritual practice, personal development, personal empowerment, mindset. There's so many things that kind of go in that direction, but for sure in our conversation,
soul evolving material.
Yes, always, that's true. And just actually concretely, let me reference, I'm returning to my yoga practice for the first time in many years. And it's like the sweetest homecoming. And that very physical approach to spiritual practice is also changing how I love, right? So I just want to name that, like, there is a universal principle. And when I talk about it, and pretty much any conversation that you and I are having, anyone in the company is having, we are specifically talking about money, sales, and business. And I think that's important to like bring those two conversations together. It's like, yes, meditation, yes, yoga, yes, breath work, yes, psychedelics, yes, retreat, yes, all those things, pilgrimage. And also, yes, money, business, dharma, sales.
Let's talk about how does our relationship with money, how does our practice of sales change how we love? I wanted to bring in this quote that I heard earlier, or actually no, it was somebody's brilliant email subject line, and it said, "The wound is the place that love enters you." And I've heard that before, is like where the light enters, but they got really explicit and said, "The wound is the place that love enters you."
Oh,
so our relationship with money,
so many wounds,
our engagement with sales, with owning our work, our business. What is the wounding work that you do with clients, and how does love come and fill that?
I'm gonna actually layer in another teaching. This is really useful, because we've talked about this before too. We haven't connected these conversations. This idea that fear, doubt, worry, insecurity, that wherever these occupy our real estate, our mental real estate, our emotional real estate, our consciousness, that's pointing us very concretely to more real estate for God. Like where there is doubt, fear, worry, it's just highlighting like, hey, this has been appropriated by the wrong owner. This is not meant to be owned by those things. This is God's real estate. And I'm layering that in because I think our capacity to love is directly related to our capacity to connect with the divine. In my definition, I have a very personal relationship to a very specific personality that I define as God. But from a universal standpoint, I think that God is that which loves unconditionally. The best lover. God is the best lover. The one who knows best how to love. The one who knows how to love us perfectly. As humans, we are so imperfect at loving. And God is the polarizing force that reminds us, like, oh, actually love is this. How would you like to be loved now? That's God. How would you like to be loved now? That's God. How would you like to be loved now? That's God. So just kind of bringing those two things together. So when you talk about the wound is where the love comes in. I see that as the wound is the place where there is real estate for God to enter, where we have felt in the past that God was not present. And so we have sheltered, protected, hidden, contorted,
ignore,
to protect.
to
To protect ourselves from this fundamental pain of feeling disconnected from love, disconnected from God. And so, of course, the wound is also where we're waiting for God. We're waiting for love. It has to come through there.
Can you give us an example of something that you've encountered that, I'm not going to say it's like is common, but what comes to mind in the realm of the money wounding? or even in the fear around selling, you know, the owning, the enthusiasm around sharing, like, this is what I'm here for. This is my offer.
Yeah. So this is really fun conversation also, because Sales Full Stop is in high gear in their early weeks of their boot camp, like just learning the basics. And this is all that we're talking about. And it's true for everyone. Everyone has a different experience of it, but the universal experience right now is that we're looking very systematically at all the places in the sales conversations where they think about themselves instead of the person they're talking to, where they cannot love because they're busy being insecure, worried about what people are going to think of them. Are they going to say yes to the price, or whatever that is? That noise, it's just noise. It's not bad. I want to be really clear. These are human phenomena. So there's no judgment here. It's that as we do this work around sales and money, we have the opportunity to actually see, oh, this is not love. It's not wrong or bad, but it's not love.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even listening to the person that's talking to me because I'm busy thinking about myself, and not in a loving way. I'm busy thinking about myself in a fearful way, in an insecure way, in a narcissistic way even. So how does sales change how we love? Like, first of all, by highlighting where we're not loving, because we're not even paying attention. And I think that maybe that's the piece that it's hard to articulate, for me at least, that in this call that I was telling you guys about at the beginning of this conversation, that my love was steady.
Everything you want is already